I'm Claire, and for 12 years, I've been trapped in a marriage that feels like a house of mirrors, every reflection perfect on the outside, but shattered beneath the surface. My days with Daniel are a silent war, fought with empty glances and unspoken words, until the weight of it all became a suffocating fog I couldn't escape. I longed for a spark, a moment to feel alive again, but nothing prepared me for the night he led me into a shadowy art gallery, where the air crackled with secrets and strangers waited in the dark. What happened next changed everything, and I'm still trembling from the choice I made. But did I just break free, or step into a trap I can't escape? Picture this. I'm standing at the edge of a frozen lake, the ice beneath my feet so thin I can hear it groan with every step, yet I keep walking, pretending it's solid ground. That's what my life feels like. My name is Claire, I'm 38, and I've been married to Daniel for 12 years. From the outside, we're the couple everyone envies, a stable partnership, a tidy home, shared dreams of buying a bigger place or jetting off to some far-flung beach we've never actually visited. But beneath the polished surface, it's all a performance. We're actors in a play we've rehearsed 1,000 times. Daniel, with his sharp mind and quiet demeanor, always has a book tucked under his arm, his brow furrowed like he's solving the world's problems. And me? I'm the poised wife, keeping the house spotless, smiling at dinner parties, playing my part with a grace I don't feel. I can still see us at a friend's wedding a few years back, moving through the dance floor like strangers forced into a waltz. Our hands touched, but there was no warmth, no connection. We avoided each other's eyes, focusing on the steps, on not tripping over the charade. Then there are the Sunday mornings, etched into my memory like a faded photograph. I'd brew coffee, the aroma filling the kitchen, while Daniel sat at the table, buried in the newspaper. Not a word passed between us, just the rustle of pages and the clink of my mug against the counter. Or that night I suggested a movie, hoping for a sliver of togetherness. He nodded, mumbled something about work, and retreated to his study, leaving me with the empty couch and a flickering screen. Our dinners are the worst, though. They're a silent ritual, a battlefield of unspoken things. I can hear the scrape of forks against plates, a sound that feels louder than it should. I watch the steam curl up from my soup, disappearing into the air, while Daniel scrolls through his phone, his face lit by the cold glow of the screen. We don't look at each other. We can't. It's as if meeting eyes would shatter whatever fragile balance we've built. I remember when it wasn't like this. Early on, there were nights we'd stay up talking until dawn, laughing over nothing, our voices weaving together in the dark. But those moments slipped away, replaced by a void I can't name, a heaviness that sits between us like an uninvited guest. Sometimes, I feel like a ghost haunting my own life. I move through the days, folding laundry, watering the plants, answering emails, with a mechanical precision, but I'm not really here. I'm drifting, untethered, longing for something to anchor me, to make me feel alive again. I crave a connection, a crack in this endless monotony, but I don't know how to reach for it. The weight of all the things we don't say presses down on me. I've spent the last few months trying to bridge the chasm between Daniel and me, clawing at the walls that have grown so high I can barely see over them. I've sent him texts in the middle of the day, simple messages like, thinking of you, hoping for a spark, a sign that he still feels something. But all I get back is a clipped, okay, if I get anything at all. Most times, my words just hang there in the void, unanswered. At dinner, I've tried to draw him out, mentioning a project I'm working on, something I thought might interest him, but he just nods curtly, his eyes never leaving his plate, as if my voice is background noise. I've even reached for him in quieter moments, like when we're side by side on the couch, the TV droning on with some show we're not really watching. My hand brushes his arm, a tentative gesture, but he tenses under my touch, shifting away like I've burned him. Each rejection stings sharper than the last, carving out little pieces of me until I feel hollow. There was one evening, though, that cut deeper than the rest. We were in our living room, the light dim, casting long shadows across the walls. The TV flickered with images neither of us cared about, a meaningless blur of color and sound. I sat there, my chest tight, watching him out of the corner of my eye. His face was a mask, unreadable as always, and I couldn't take it anymore. I had to try, one more time. My fingers trembled as I reached for his hand, the air between us feeling thick, heavy with everything we've never said. I brushed against his skin, and for a split second I thought maybe, just maybe, he'd let me in. But then he pulled away, gentle but firm, his hand slipping out of reach. I froze, my breath catching, and then he spoke, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade. "If you truly want to feel something different, do it. But I need to be there. I need to see it." His tone wasn't angry or jealous, not even a hint of passion. It was cold, detached, like he was proposing a clinical experiment, observing a subject under a microscope. My mind reeled, trying to make sense of what he meant. Feel something different? See it? The words didn't fit together, not in any way that felt safe or familiar. A wave of confusion crashed over me, mingled with an unease that settled deep in my bones. Something inside me fractured in that moment, a quiet snap I couldn't name. I didn't say anything back. I couldn't. I just sat there, staring at the TV screen, the images blurring as my heart pounded in my chest. His words echoed in my head, over and over, a riddle I didn't want to solve but couldn't escape. In the days that followed, I couldn't shake what he'd said. It clung to me like a shadow I couldn't outrun. Daniel's cryptic words haunted me, replaying in my mind during every quiet moment, every sleepless night. What did he mean by feeling something different? What did he need to see? The uncertainty gnawed at me, but I didn't dare ask. Instead, I let it fester, a dark seed planted deep within. Then, one chilly evening, everything shifted. Daniel came to me, his expression unreadable as always, and simply said, "We're going somewhere tonight. Dress warmly." No explanation, no hint of what was to come. My stomach twisted with a mix of dread and curiosity, but I nodded, pulling on a coat and scarf, following him out the door like a moth drawn to a flame I knew might burn me. The drive out of the city was eerily silent, save for the low hum of the engine. I sat in the passenger seat, staring out the window as the familiar glow of streetlights faded into the distance. The scenery morphed into something desolate, barren trees clawing at the gray sky, their skeletal branches swaying in the wind. The outskirts of town gave way to empty, winding roads, the kind that seemed to lead nowhere and everywhere at once. I glanced at Daniel, his hand steady on the wheel, his face a mask of calm, almost clinical detachment. He didn't look at me, didn't offer a word of reassurance or explanation. My mind raced with questions I couldn't bring myself to voice. Where were we going? What was this about? The silence between us felt heavier than ever, pressing down on me until I could barely breathe. After what felt like an eternity, we pulled up to an old art gallery, a looming brick structure that seemed to sag under the weight of its own history. The windows were cracked, spider-webbing across the glass, and the faded sign above the entrance was barely legible, worn down by time and neglect. I stepped out of the car, the cold air biting at my skin, and followed Daniel inside. The door creaked as it opened, revealing a cavernous space that smelled of oil paint and aged wood. Soft lamplight flickered from sconces on the walls, casting long, wavering shadows across the hardwood floor. Large canvases line the room, their abstract forms haunting in the dim glow. Swirls of muted grays and deep crimsons. Shapes that seem to writhe if you stared too long. Tall windows frame the darkness outside, making the gallery feel like a stage, isolated from the world, waiting for some unseen performance to begin. I stood in the center of the room, my heels clicking against the floor with each hesitant step, the sound echoing in the vast emptiness. I felt exposed, vulnerable under the weight of the space, as if the paintings themselves were watching me. Daniel stepped away for a moment, his footsteps fading as he moved toward a side door. My pulse quickened, a nervous thrum in my chest as I heard the faint creak of hinges. When he returned, he wasn't alone. 3 men followed him, strangers I'd never laid eyes on before, and their presence sent a shiver down my spine that had nothing to do with the cold. The first was tall, broad-shouldered, with heavy hands that looked like they could crush stone, his jawline rough and unshaven. The second was eerily calm, his gaze direct and unblinking, piercing through me as if he could see every thought I tried to hide. The third was quieter, almost ghostly, moving with a slow, deliberate grace that made him seem like a shadow come to life. They didn't speak, didn't acknowledge me beyond their lingering stares, and their silence was more unnerving than any words could have been. Their shadows stretched across the floor, merging with the darkness cast by the lamplight. And I felt the air grow thicker, heavier, as if the room itself was holding its breath. Daniel approached me then, his hands resting on my shoulders, the touch cold even through the thin fabric of my blouse. I tensed under his grip, my breath catching as he leaned in close, his lips near my ear. "You're free," he whispered, his voice low and measured, sending a chill through me. Here I am, standing in the heart of this ancient gallery, the air thick with the scent of forgotten art and unspoken truths. The weight of this moment presses down on me, heavier than the shadows cast by the flickering lamplight. The 3 men surround me, their presence a silent storm I can't escape. The tall one, with his rugged frame, grazes my wrist with rough fingers, a touch so light it's almost a whisper, yet it sends a jolt through me, sharp and undeniable. The calm one steps closer, his eyes boring into mine, stripping away every layer of pretense I've ever worn, leaving me raw under his gaze. Behind me, the quiet one lingers, his breath a faint murmur against the back of my neck, so subtle I might have imagined it, yet it roots me to the spot, every nerve on edge. My eyes are drawn to the painting before me, a golden figure captured mid-motion, its form shimmering as if alive, as if it's beckoning me to step into its world, to become something more than I've ever dared to be. Inside, I'm a battlefield. Fear claws at my chest, its icy fingers tightening with every heartbeat, warning me to run, to pull away, to cling to the safety of the life I've known. But there's something else, too. A wild, reckless curiosity that burns hotter than the fear, urging me to see where this path leads, to taste the unknown, even if it scalds me. Defiance surges up, a bitter edge to it as I think of Daniel, standing off to the side, his eyes on me. I can feel his stare, not heated with anger or longing, but cold, calculating, like I'm a puzzle he's trying to solve. This is his test, isn't it? His twisted way of measuring me, of seeing how far I'll bend before I break. Part of me hates him for it, for turning me into his experiment, for watching me like I'm a specimen under glass. But there's another part, buried deep beneath the resentment, that hungers for this, to shatter the mold of our stale marriage, to rip through the script we've followed for years, to feel something real, even if it's forbidden, even if it's wrong. My hands, clenched tight at my sides, slowly unfurl, fingers trembling as they release the tension I've held for so long. My shoulders loosen, dropping as if shedding an invisible burden. A quiet resolve settles over me, heavy but certain, like the first drop of rain before a storm. I don't pull away from the men. I don't resist the subtle brush of their presence, the unspoken invitation in their nearness. I let it linger, let it seep into me, my gaze still locked on that golden figure in the painting. It's as if it's no longer just art, but a mirror reflecting a version of myself I've never met. A woman unafraid, untamed, stepping into her own power. The gallery is silent, a suffocating stillness that amplifies every tiny sound. The faint creak of Daniel's chair pierces the quiet as he shifts, watching, always watching. I don't turn to him. I can't. But I feel the weight of his eyes, a tether I'm no longer sure I want to hold on to. This moment feels like standing at the edge of a cliff, the wind howling around me, the ground crumbling beneath my feet. It's terrifying, the kind of fear that makes your stomach drop and your pulse race. But it's exhilarating too, a rush I haven't felt in years, a spark that ignites something dormant inside me. And it feels inevitable, like I've been walking toward this edge all along, knowing I'd eventually have to jump. I'm not the quiet, composed wife anymore, the one who smiles on cue and buries her desires under layers of routine. I'm something else now, something raw, unscripted, a force I don't fully understand but can't deny. I don't look at Daniel, though I know he's there, his presence a constant pressure against my skin. I know there's no turning back from this, no retreating to the safety of what was. Here I am, in the dim heart of this old gallery, the air so thick with tension, it feels like it could snap at any moment. The flickering lamplight dances across the walls, casting long, wavering shadows that seem to move with a life of their own. The three men are close now, their presence an unspoken force, drawing me into a moment I can't escape, even if I wanted to. The tall one, with his rough, heavy hands, steps forward first, his touch guiding me with a deliberate slowness, like he's tracing a path on a map only he can see. It's firm, grounding, a weight that pulls me deeper into this surreal haze. Then the calm one, his steady gaze locking with mine, holds me captive in a way that's more powerful than any grip. His eyes are a mirror to something I can't name, something I've buried for too long. Behind me, the quiet one is a shadow, his nearness a subtle envelopment, a whisper of presence that sends a shiver down my spine, not from fear, but from the sheer intensity of being seen, felt, in a way I've forgotten. The gallery seems to shrink around us, the walls closing in as if they're part of this strange ritual. The lamplight flickers erratically now, painting our silhouettes against the ancient brick, turning us into figures in a silent, timeless film. Every movement feels slowed, deliberate, like time itself has bent to witness this. My senses are heightened to an almost painful degree. I can hear the faint rustle of fabric, the soft intake of breath, the creak of the wooden floor beneath us. The air carries the scent of old paint and dust, mingling with something primal, something I can't put words to. My skin prickles with awareness as their nearness becomes a kind of unspoken dance, a moment of connection that's as much about reclaiming myself as it is about anything else. It's not about losing control. It's about choosing to step into it, to let myself be carried by this current I've fought against for so long. Inside, I'm split in two. There's a part of me that's detached, floating above this scene, watching it unfold like a stranger peering through a window. I see myself standing there, surrounded, the golden figure in the painting before me blurring with my own reflection in the glass frame. It's as if I'm becoming that figure, shimmering, untethered, a being of light and shadow, no longer bound by the rules I've lived by. But there's another part of me, rooted deep in my body, feeling every sensation with a clarity that's almost overwhelming. Each brush of contact, each moment of nearness is a reminder that I'm here, alive, in a way I haven't been in years. It's not a fire that burns or a pain that stings. It's just real, raw, a pulse of existence that courses through me, waking up parts of myself I thought were long asleep. I know Daniel is there, in the corner of the room, his silence louder than any shout could ever be. I don't turn to look at him, don't dare meet his eyes, but I feel his gaze like a physical weight, pressing against me, cataloging every second of this. The creak of his chair cuts through the stillness, a sharp solitary sound that reminds me he's watching, always watching. I wonder, for a fleeting moment, what he's feeling. Disgust at what he sees, fascination with how far I've gone, or maybe nothing at all, just that cold, clinical detachment he's mastered so well. Does this hurt him? Does it stir anything in that guarded heart of his? But I push the thought away, burying it beneath the wave of my own resolve. This isn't about him anymore. This is about me, about taking back something I've lost, about stepping into a power I didn't know I had until this very moment. The moment stretches, then shifts, as the men slowly draw back, their figures retreating into the shadows of the gallery like spirits dissolving into the night. I'm left standing alone in the center of the room, my breath steady but deep, my skin still tingling with the echoes of what just transpired. I stand there, rooted to the hardwood floor of this ancient gallery, the air still heavy with the scent of old paint and the lingering tension of moments I'll never forget. My chest rises and falls, each breath a quiet anchor pulling me back to myself, to this new version of me that feels both foreign and fiercely familiar. The lamplight flickers weakly now, as if it, too, is exhausted by the weight of what it's witnessed. The shadows on the walls seem softer, less menacing, but they still dance with a life of their own, mirroring the storm of thoughts swirling in my mind. I hear the slow, deliberate sound of footsteps approaching, each one a measured tap against the worn floorboards. It's Daniel. I don't need to turn to know it's him. I can feel his presence like a cold draft seeping through a crack in the window. He stops a few feet away, and I finally lift my gaze from the golden figure in the painting to meet his. His face is a mask of calm, not a trace of anger or betrayal etched into his features. But there's something else there, something deeper, a profound exhaustion in his eyes, as if the last hour has aged him years in mere minutes. His shoulders slump slightly, a subtle defeat I've never seen in him before. He looks at me, really looks at me, and for the first time in so long I feel like he's seeing me, not the role I've played for 12 years. Now I've seen everything, he says, his voice flat, devoid of emotion, like he's reading from a script he's tired of reciting. And I can't be a spectator anymore, not yours, not anyone's. The words hang between us, heavy and final, like the closing of a door I didn't realize was still ajar. I don't respond right away. I can't. My throat feels tight, not with sadness or guilt, but with a strange, quiet acceptance. I search his face for something, regret, pain, even a flicker of longing. But there's nothing. Just that hollow exhaustion, a man who's watched a chapter of his life unfold in a way he never expected and now wants to walk away from the story altogether. I nod slowly, more to myself than to him, my hands still trembling slightly at my sides. I understand, I say, my voice steadier than I thought it would be. And I do. I understand that whatever fragile thread held us together has finally snapped, not with a dramatic tear, but with a quiet, inevitable unraveling. There's no anger in me, no bitterness, just a clarity that cuts through the fog of our shared history. What happened here tonight wasn't just about breaking free from the monotony or defying the silence that suffocated us. It was about me stepping into a truth I've ignored for too long, a truth that doesn't include him anymore. He turns away first, his footsteps retreating toward the gallery's entrance, each one fainter than the last until the creak of the door signals he's gone. I don't follow. I stay where I am, surrounded by the silent canvases, the golden figure in the painting still shimmering in the dim light, as if it's nodding in approval of the woman I've become. The gallery feels emptier now, colder, but I don't shiver. There's a warmth inside me, a quiet fire that wasn't there before, kindled by the choices I made in this space, by the boundaries I crossed to reclaim a piece of myself I thought was lost forever. I think about our marriage, about the years spent tiptoeing around each other, pretending the cracks weren't there until they became canyons too wide to bridge. I see flashes of those early days, laughing over spilled wine on our first date, the way his hand felt steady in mine during long walks through the park, the promises we whispered under starlit skies. But those memories feel like they belong to someone else now, a version of Claire who hadn't yet learned how to stand on her own. The dissolution of what we had isn't a tragedy to me. It's a release. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.